Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are returning. Today, we're going to talk about how to feel your feelings and then how to meet and resource yourself around your feelings once you have felt them. A few days ago, before I even do that, I'm so sorry if you're new here. My name is Sarah. I'm a certified life and business coach, and I help heart centered service providers, spiritual practitioners, and creatives build the lives and businesses of their dreams. And a few days ago, I made a video about avoidance. It was just called If You Struggle with Avoidance, Watch This. And a handful of people are commenting on that video. I'm going to link it below. So if you've already seen it and you had some thoughts or some comments, I'm responding here to one of the comments, which was from a woman named Anastacia, who, thank you so much for your comment, said, okay, but how do you meet your feelings? That's really the thing that I get the most overwhelmed with and that I avoid the most. And I would love some more information about how to do that. And I thought that that was such a great and valuable question. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to start feeling our feelings and then how to move through difficult feelings. If you see me looking down, I just have handwritten notes. So I'm looking at my notes. I want to start first by just talking a little bit about what feelings are. And that might be like a duh, like, of course, I know what feelings are, but we call emotions feelings because we experience them in the body. So a lot of the time, especially if you're like me, I have an air moon, I have an air stellium. I went to a lot of talk therapy. It took me a very long time, like until like recent years, to realize that I was really good at thinking about my experience, analyzing my experience, explaining my experience, but I wasn't always feeling my feelings. And in the video I was talking about avoidance, I was talking about how avoidance is a coping strategy. And avoidance is a coping strategy for a lot of things, but one of the things that we can be avoiding is difficult feelings. And we don't always know that we're avoiding our feelings if we are not used to feeling our feelings. So even just think about, you're having a hard day and you're like, oh, I need a drink. What is that? That is a way to bypass feeling the difficult feeling directly. If you are stressed and you just want to numb out and shut your brain off and watch a bunch of Netflix or play video games, that is a numbing strategy. It's something to distract you from the unpleasant feeling. So the thing you're avoiding in those cases is being present with your emotions. Whereas what I was talking about in the other video was avoiding taking actions or addressing kind of external problems in your life. When we're avoiding our emotions, it tends to lead us into numbing behaviors and kind of check out behaviors and sometimes substances that can give us a bypass around feeling our feelings. So we're aware on some level that something is uncomfortable, that something's going on that we don't want to deal with. And before we even have a chance to be present with what that thing is, we're already reaching for something that will numb us and distract us. The feeling doesn't really go away. The problem doesn't really go away. It will just hang out until you're ready to deal with it, or keep resurfacing, I should say, until you're ready to deal with it. Emotions are not here to torture us. There are no bad emotions. And I think that that is one of the most important frameworks to start adopting if you struggle with addressing your own feelings, is to first start by saying there are no bad emotions. There are things that don't feel good, but that's not bad. We are designed to experience a full range of emotions for a reason. And that's because of what I believe emotions are, which is sacred signals. Your emotions are designed to tell you things about yourself, about the world around you, and about your life. So if something feels unpleasant, it is your body giving you a signal that something is not working for you. Something is not aligned with your values. Something here is dangerous. Our emotions are a system that's designed to alert us to danger in our environment. They are designed to get us to take action. That's what they're here to do. Our feelings are designed to get us to take action. And for a lot of us, especially if we have avoidance patterns that come from having a difficult childhood. I talked in that video about avoidance, about how avoidance is a very logical coping technique for situations where you can't get away and you can't change things because as a child you are not capable of doing so. That going into avoidance patterns and also going into dissociation is a very valid coping strategy when you are in a position that there's nothing you can do about the problem. And it's not as valuable as an adult. And I lost my train of thought. Let me get it back. So, when we are going into avoidance because we don't have the tools to address our emotions or we don't have the habits of feeling our feelings, then by the time we reach adulthood, we're not even really aware that that's what we're doing. And we don't always know how to slow down long enough to feel our feelings and then to address them and process them, but your body is trying to let you know. I remember where I was going. Here we go. I'm back. So, say you are going to work every day. This actually happened to me when I was much younger. You have a job, you're going to work every day, and every single day on your way to work, you get a really bad stomach ache. You may not be processing that you are anxious because you don't like your job. And when you're in a mindset of, well, I can't change this, I have to stay at this job for right now, there's nothing I can do about it, it feels more convenient to not allow yourself to feel or explore that feeling, but rather to numb out, ignore, or dissociate, do other things to self soothe, whether that's eating certain foods or drinking alcohol or smoking weed or whatever other numbing coping behaviors you're using to check out or try to distract yourself from the uncomfortable feeling. But the uncomfortable feeling is your body being wise enough to try to get your attention and say, we hate this job. I need you to quit. We need to be doing something else. That's not your body torturing you. That's not your body doing something mean. That's your body. I always think of my body as a pet, right? It's like an animal scratching at the door. It's trying to get your attention to let you know, hey, there's an action we need to take. There's something we need to do here to move ourselves in the direction of alignment. There's something we need to do here to move ourselves in the direction of safety. There's something we need to do to move ourselves in the direction of happiness. And you're not doing it. So I'm going to keep giving you this feeling until you pay attention to the signal that I'm giving you. And I think when we understand that every single emotion we have, no matter how unpleasant it may feel, is our beloved body trying to guide our attention to the fact that something needs us, right? It's almost like I think about like Lassie, like that's an old show. If you don't know what Lassie is, I don't know what to tell you. But like Timmy fell down the abandoned well, right? The dog is coming up to you and barking and trying to be like, come over here and look at what this problem is. And, if there's somebody in the well, yeah, that doesn't solve the problem now that you've seen it. You're going to have to go get help. You're going to have to fix it. But at least now you've seen the problem. That's what the emotion is doing. It is trying to bring you over with your attention to where the problem is so that you can do something about it. So I just want to kind of offer us that first, that all of our feelings, no matter what the feeling is trying to draw your attention to something that needs your action, your involvement, your addressing in your life. So when we're thinking our feelings and not feeling them, we may be describing the situation to ourselves. We may be like, yeah, my job's annoying, but your job might be so much more than annoying. We might be like, yeah, that person, gives me weird vibes, but it might be so much more than that. And it's not until you allow yourself to really feel the full scope of your feelings that you're like, oh, this is actually unbearable. And I want to say that a lot of the time, that's what many of us are avoiding. We kind of know on some level when we're talking about difficult feelings that if we were to let ourselves really feel the feeling, we would have no choice but to take action. And we are currently telling ourselves, right back to the avoidance conversation, you can't. You can't handle this. You can't deal with it. There's nothing you can do. You're helpless. You're stuck. There's no way that we can address this problem right now. I don't want to think about this. This also comes up a lot in romantic relationships or friendships that have kind of outlived their expiration. And we're having a lot of feelings that we're numbing out, that we're avoiding. And we're telling ourselves, this person does stuff that annoys me. This person is bothering me. We're talking to our friends about situations, but we're not allowing ourselves to go into our body and feel the real feelings, because on a certain level that we know that if we let ourselves feel the feelings, we would have to do something about it. Honey, do something about it. Like, and if you need help to do something about it, that's why you hire a life coach. So get some support to do something about it. But avoiding your feelings long term, suppressing your feelings long term is not going to change A, that there's a situation that needs to be addressed in your life, and B, it's not going to change that you're going to keep having this negative experience over and over until you address it. So I want to kind of plant that. If you're a ruminator, pay attention to the things that you're thinking over and over and the things that you're saying, even if you haven't connected them to your feelings yet. Your inner dialogue, your inner monologue is giving you some clues about what's going on. Especially if when you think about something, you do start to feel angry or upset or annoyed or, sad. That is your brain, your rumination system saying, hey, we actually haven't dealt with this yet. You actually like, you keep thinking about this over and over because you haven't addressed it at the root, and the root is that this situation doesn't feel good, and you're going to have to do something about it eventually. Emotions only last about 90 seconds. So they are designed to come through the body and pass. We're not really supposed to hang out in feelings long term. And so if you're noticing that you have a feeling over and over or for a longer period of time, or it keeps circling back, that's a really good sign that you're not actually feeling the feeling anymore. You're ruminating on the situation. You're thinking about it, and the thinking about it causes the feeling to come back. That either means the feeling, the situation has not been properly addressed yet, or it has, and you haven't let the situation go. But the feeling itself should be relatively short lived once you give yourself permission to feel it. And I think that's important to know, because if you're like me, one of the fears that I used to have, if I let myself really feel the full depth of how sad I was, or how disappointed I was, or how angry I was about something, that it would like never end and it would like take over my life, that I would just never stop crying if I let myself cry about something that was really upsetting to me. It will pass. The feeling will not take over your life. It is not designed to. So even if you have a good long cry about it to get it out, you're not going to cry forever. Eventually, you're going to get bored and hungry, and something else will happen. So, another reason that we tend to avoid our feelings, and this is really fascinating, is what's called meta emotions. Meta emotions, like metacognition, are feelings about feelings, in the way that metacognition is thoughts about your thinking. Meta emotions are feelings about our feelings. The reason that many of us avoid emotions is because of meta emotions. We're ashamed because we're overwhelmed. We're angry because we're sad. We are frustrated because we're anxious. So we are putting a secondary layer of emotion on the first layer of emotion, because we are judging, blaming, or shaming ourselves for our feelings, and telling ourselves that we're wrong for having those feelings, that we shouldn't be having those feelings, that those feelings themselves are inappropriate, or there's no time for them, or we are afraid of them, or we are embarrassed of them. We've been socialized not to feel those feelings. And so, really, a lot of times, the reason that we're avoiding the feeling is because we are having another emotion about the feeling. So now you got two problems. You got the original feeling of, I'm upset, I don't like this job, I'm uncomfortable with this person, I'm not happy with this relationship, my needs aren't being met, I'm disappointed. And then you have the layer of frustration, anger, disappointment, shame, guilt, fear, or whatever coming up about your feelings. And so I think it's really important to start recognizing that, again, back to point one, all of our feelings are valuable information, and there's nothing wrong with any of our feelings. You're allowed to have all of your feelings. If you grew up in an environment where you were not allowed to be demonstrative about your emotions, this is probably a big one, where you judge yourself for having feelings and you judge yourself for the way that you express them. So, one of the things we got to do to start feeling our feelings is to make all of the feelings acceptable, all of the feelings allowed, and to get very curious about the feelings rather than being judgmental about them. So I almost want you to imagine if someone else came to you and they said, "Oh, this thing scares me." And your response would be like, "That's dumb. I can't believe you're scared of that. That's so stupid." You probably wouldn't do that because you're a kind person. But when you're scared, you're like, "You're being irrational. This is stupid. There's nothing to be afraid of. I know that you're scared of this," right? Like, not even, "I know that you're scared of this." Or like, "Why are you even scared of this? There's nothing to be afraid of," before you've allowed yourself to process your fear. Whereas if another person came to you and said, "This thing really scares me," you might be likely to be like, "Why?" Just why? What's scary about this for you? Tell me about that. You want to bring that same curiosity, right? We can just start with curiosity. We don't even need to jump all the way to compassion. Just start with curiosity to your own feelings and nix the judgment. So your own sweet little inner self is giving you a signal. I'm uncomfortable. I'm scared. I don't like this. This doesn't feel good. This freaks me out. This makes me anxious. This makes me sad. This makes me disappointed, whatever it is. And you get to go, huh, why? At that point, write down the answer. Just go into it like a scientist collecting data, because your meta emotions, the judgment, the shame, the anger, the frustration about the feelings are actually preventing you from getting to know yourself. That's the disconnect that numbing and avoidance of our own feelings brings about. You don't really know yourself. You don't know what makes you happy. You don't know what makes you sad. You don't know what makes you disappointed. You don't know what scares you because you won't even allow yourself to articulate what's going on inside you before you start judging yourself for it and trying to shut it off. There's a lack of intimacy, a lack of safety between your feelings and your mind, between your body and your brain, between you and you. You've got to take the judgment out so that you can start building that communication line and opening up to start to get to know yourself. What do I really feel about this situation? What's really going on for me, and why do I think that's happening? So, it is really important to note that a lot of this is cultural. We do live in a society that is rooted in putting logic over emotions, head over heart, keep a stiff upper lip. The only real feelings that are allowed are kind of like happiness, pleasantness, right? Like everything is supposed to be in this very narrow range societally of what's acceptable. And a lot of us get told, like, no one wants to deal with your bullshit. No one wants to deal with your complaining. No one wants to hear that you're upset. Keep that to yourself. It's not true. Right? It's not factual. There are people in your life who care about your whole range of human experience. There are people in your life who care about your feelings. And if you don't know people in your life who care about your feelings, go find some. Definitely get a therapist. There are people who want to know how you genuinely feel and think. But above anyone else caring about your feelings, I want you to care about your feelings. I want you to have genuine curiosity about the full range of your human experience and bring that to yourself and say, I'm interested. I'm interested in what I feel about this. I'm interested to know why I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting. I'm interested to know what this situation is bringing up in me. And so, even if no one else wants to hear what I'm going through, I want to be there for what I'm going through, because that's how I get to know my truth. That's how I get in touch with what we call like your authentic self. Your authentic self is how you genuinely feel about stuff. There's no way to be living in your authenticity if you are not even allowing yourself to feel and explore your own feelings. So even if you grew up being told no one wants to hear your shit, you don't want to burden other people, blah, blah, blah. You now are allowed as an adult watching this video. You didn't need my permission, but I'm giving it to you right now. You are now allowed to reject that learning, to go out and find people who genuinely care about you, who are genuinely interested in your experience, who believe that all of your feelings are welcome and valid, who care about the things that you feel and the things that you think about the things you feel. You're welcome to get therapy. You're welcome to get coaching. You're welcome to expand your own capacity for being a human. We came to this plane to experience a full range of human emotions, not just pleasant and nice all the time. That shit's not real. So no matter who you are, what you've been through, where you've been, what you've been told, if today's the first day anyone's ever told you, you deserve to feel all your feelings. You deserve curiosity and respect from yourself for all your feelings. You deserve to have people in your life who care to hear all of your feelings. And if you don't have that right now, job number one is to allow yourself to feel disappointed by that, and then to make the decision that you're going to go find that for yourself along with your process of self-knowledge and authenticity. That was a detour I didn't know I was taking, but I took it. So, just again to remind us that our emotions are these sacred signals about what's important to us, what we value, what works for us, and what doesn't. The more we allow ourselves to feel our feelings without judgment, the more knowledge that we have about who we really are. Being cut off from our feelings means we're cut off from our needs, we're cut off from the needs of others. We're disconnected from what matters to us. And there's only so long that we can live like that before we're going to start having physical effects, right? That stomach ache every day becomes a chronic illness, becomes an ulcer. Your body is doing everything it can to get your attention about what's working. So once we've removed judgment and we've said, okay, enough is enough. All of my feelings are welcome here. I am open to them. Step number one is to notice. This means we got to slow down. So this is like mindfulness, but like feelingfulness, I guess, emotionfulness. When something comes up, and what you might notice first is the thought. Maybe the thought is, "Damn, I need a drink." Maybe the thing that you do is you pick up your phone and you call your friend. You're like, "Ugh, today's so annoying," right? Just to notice and then to slow down. Take a beat. Describe the sensations in your body. Before you rush to name the emotion that you're feeling, just describe the sensations in your body. I feel a lump in my throat. My heart feels heavy. My stomach feels tight. I feel like I want to run. My body feels tingly. I feel buzzy. I feel spacey. I feel weighed down. See what you can do to just describe the sensations, locate where they are in your body, and describe what you feel and where you feel it. That's how you know you're dealing with an emotion and not analyzing your experience. It's because you feel it in your body and you can name what you're feeling. Once you've done that, I highly recommend grabbing or just Google the feelings wheel and look at the feelings wheel, because there are probably a lot more emotions that you are experiencing than the ones that you can name. If you have a history of minimizing or avoiding your own feelings, there's probably a lot more feelings that you just don't have the language for. And by having the language for it, we can get more accurate. So you want to look at that feelings wheel and you want to pinpoint, oh, I feel crushed. I feel dismayed. I feel disgusted, right? Like get really specific about what it is you're feeling. And then journal. You know, I'm always telling you to journal. Write it down. When you write it down, I want to suggest that you don't use an I am statement. Rather, you use an I feel statement. I am statements are really powerful spells, right? And we don't want to attach that to ourselves. If we're like, I'm depressed, that means the whole of my being and everything that I am now fits into this one label. No, you are not. You feel sad. You feel depressed. You feel anxious. You are the container of the feeling, not the feeling itself. And so once you've named what you've looked at the feeling wheel, you've named the feelings you're feeling, write down, I feel stress. I feel in my stomach. I feel disappointed about this situation. And it feels like, and write down what it feels like in your body. Now you're going to go into a dialogue with the emotion. You can put your hands where it is. You can just close your eyes, bring your focus and your intention to it. And you just want to ask the feeling, what message do you have for me? If this is a sacred signal trying to alert me to something, you're telling me the stove is hot to move my hand. You're telling me I hate this job, I need to do something else. You're telling me this relationship is no longer right for me and I need to make a hard decision. You're telling me something. What is the message that you have for me? Sit with your hands on that space, breathing until you feel an answer. If nothing comes, that's okay. Move on to the next question, which is, what truth are you trying to reveal to me? There is something that your body knows that your brain is not acknowledging. Your body is picking up so many more signals than we're conscious of. And so allowing your body to let you know what is the truth of this situation that is trying to be revealed. What need are you showing me? What do I need? What action are you telling me I need to take? What is the message? What is the truth? What is the need? What is the action? Sit with that. Breathe. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream and punch a pillow, scream and punch a pillow. If you need to put on an angry song and thrash around, do it. If you need to put on something with a really driving beat and jump and get a bunch of anxiety out of your body, do it. Whatever it is that you need to do to move the feelings through, do that. Then let the feelings go. So that can look like journaling it out. It can look like, usually once you've done something like crying or punching a pillow or jumping around and moving it through your body, if you sit and breathe, you will notice a shift and something else happens. Then you might want to check back in with that feelings wheel and go, how do I feel now? Because you probably have moved to somewhere else. So I hope that this was helpful. This practice takes a while. I still use these exact tools, again, as someone who tends to intellectualize my experience or analyze my experience rather than feeling my feelings. I have to remind myself regularly to get present with my body. But the more of your avoidance coping strategies and your numbing techniques you remove from your habits and from your daily life, the easier it gets to practice feeling your feelings, because there's nothing to reach for. If you're not drinking, there's no alcohol to numb you out. If you're taking a break from the video games, then there's no video games to numb you out. If you're taking a break from the shopping, there's no shopping to numb you out. So removing some of those coping strategies so that you need to be present with your feelings can be intense, but it also makes this practice a lot easier to adapt to, because there's nowhere else to go. You just have to be in here and be present with what is. And the reward on the other side of that is that you know yourself. You are intimate with yourself. You have your own back and you feel like you can trust yourself. You develop a more loving relationship with yourself because you're no longer shaming and blaming or guilting or anger or experiencing anger at yourself for your own emotions. And instead, you know that you are a safe space for your own emotional experience, whatever those feelings are. That's going to improve your relationships with other people because you inherently become more honest, more of yourself, more truthful. And other people will be able to sense that in you. And they will also be able to sense that they're safe to share their feelings with you because of how you process your own feelings. So this is a life-changing skill on many, many levels. If this was helpful for you, Anastasia, if you see this and this was helpful for you, let me know. Please leave me a comment. And like Anastasia did, if you leave me a comment on any video and you have a follow-up question, leave it because I may use your question to create an answer in another video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please click subscribe. There are a lot of people who watch these videos and don't subscribe. Each and every one of you means so, so much to me. Also, make sure you join my email list. I share a lot of really valuable content right now in the month of January because I'm talking so much about reaching your goals and making sure that you hit your New Year's resolutions. I've been talking a lot more on the life coaching side than on the business side, but I will be talking a lot more about creative small business in the content that is to come. So definitely make sure you get on my email list because I share a lot of really valuable content there as well. Okay, love you. Bye.